Hello, attendees of the Heartland Film Festival. My name is Andrew Reed, and I'm the director of the feature-length documentary, I'm with Phil. Our documentary is ultimately a story of hope and inspiration. However, it starts off as something completely different. It was originally supposed to be about a humorous topic, a man named Phil Campbell from Brooklyn, New York, discovering the small town of Phil Campbell, Alabama, my hometown, and setting out to have a convention there for other people that share that name. Well, a tragedy took place while we were filming in the town, and it really changed the direction of our story and what happened, and it really became something much more significant than we ever expected it would. And we think that this film is going to do a lot of good for our town, and we're very excited about having it here at Heartland to show to you. So we really appreciate it if you would come check it out. My role in the production is director and a producer of the film as well. Basically, it was I started out working on this in early 2011. Got wind of this convention of Phil Campbell's in my hometown of Phil Campbell, Alabama. I got in touch with the organizer of the convention and began talking with him, and we began to plan this documentary. And I started shooting things in the town. And then, though, after the disaster happened, the angle of the documentary changed, and it became more reflexive in nature. It was the making of the documentary was part of the story because of what happened in the hometown and what happened partially in my life. So I think it's an interesting way that this film is told. I kind of become a character in the film, not so much a main character, but somewhat of a side character. So I really am excited to see how people react to the way that we chose to tell our story, and my role as a filmmaker, how I inserted myself into it or found a way to place myself in the film, but tried to do so in a way that only made sense and I felt was necessary to tell the story. Also, one thing that's interesting, I think, is that the main character of our film, Phil Campbell of Brooklyn, New York, he became a producer as well because he was a writer, he was a novelist who'd actually had an autobiographical work of himself, a memoir, turned into a feature film, played by Jason Biggs. And so he had a little bit of, he had a knack for storytelling, and he was well connected with AOL and some other entities that we were hoping can help get our film out into the world. So we brought him on board as a producer. I chose to submit to the Heartland Film Festival because I knew that this is the type of festival that our film was tailor-made for. We are looking to find people that enjoy material that is significant and is ultimately empowering and inspirational and uplifting. We really believe that you guys are our target audience, and I myself am a filmmaker that aspires to make positive, significant work that is family friendly and that people enjoy and can watch together. That's really kind of what I'm trying to do, and so I'm really excited that I'm with Phil was selected for Heartland. So the tagline for this year's Heartland Film Festival is Shift Your Perspective. And so our film employs the perspectives of a lot of different types of people. It's set in a small town in Alabama, but we've also got a Yankee, a guy from Brooklyn, New York, coming down to the South to see these townspeople and see what they're about. And we have Phil Campbell's from Australia, from Great Britain, coming to this small rural town. And I think early on when we were planning this film, it was going to try to explore more of these differences and how people interacted with each other from different geographic areas. But really, it really became a film about what unites us and what we all have in common, even if we live very far away, or even if the only thing we have in common is a name, our name being the same. We still have a lot of stuff going on there that connects us. And so I think that this idea of shifting your perspective, you really do see a new way of looking at international relations and even geographic relations between Northerners and Southerners in our film. You see that at work. And so I do hope that through this film, people do open their eyes a little bit more and are not as quick to judge someone just because of maybe the area they live, that assuming, oh, they're from the South, they're not very intelligent. You know, that's unfortunately a perception of a lot of, I think, of a lot of this, the modern South right now. And I'm hoping that, you know, our film kind of shows that, is that no, there's very intelligent people of faith that live there. They're hardworking. They're very compassionate. They really care about their neighbor. I want that image of the modern Southerner to shine through, and I'm hoping that people will see this film and better appreciate the kind of folks that live in the South, and also better appreciate the folks from around the world, because, you know, they're the people that are step in to help the townspeople in the film. People of all kinds of different backgrounds. So it's great to see, you know, people of completely different political and social ideologies coming to help the rural South in our film. So really hoping you enjoy that. My inspiration for becoming a filmmaker is a bit of a convoluted one. I guess I would say that I've always enjoyed a good story and the ability for stories to move people and really just give you a new insight into life that maybe you didn't have before. Documentary especially, I found particularly moving, and I've really come to appreciate it as an art form and as a way of giving people a new perspective on other people. And I think it really can help foster a better sense of empathy and appreciation and understanding of each other. And I think that's something we really need now in our society more than ever. And so I hope that my films can do that, can bridge gaps between people, show people what it's like to live as someone else does, and just hopefully have something in the films that resonates with people deeply and just deeply moves them in some way. That's my goal as a filmmaker, and that's why I'm doing this. What is something that I know about filmmaking now that I didn't know before and I wish somebody told me? I think a lot of people from the outside looking in think that filmmaking is a glamorous, rewarding career, and while it's rewarding, it's definitely not glamorous, and especially if you're doing things independently or you're in documentary, there's not a lot of glamour to documentary filmmaking, but it is deeply rewarding. And what I find most rewarding is in the editing room, crafting that story, piecing it together, and also the interplay between the editing room and what you're shooting in the field. The idea of asking the questions and getting the coverage that you need to get because you know how to tell what you need to tell the story. I guess if I had to rephrase that, one thing I enjoy the most about documentary filmmaking is this idea of crafting my story both while I'm in the field and in the editing room, and knowing what I need in the editing room affects what I shoot and how I shoot it. And it's a really interesting, game that you're playing. It's an interesting challenge. You always have to think on your feet when you're shooting to make sure you get the right coverage, that you get the right shots, that you get your subjects, make sure they cover the right things that you need them to talk about, and that you capture those moments that occur. And so that's what I enjoy most about documentary filmmaking is trying to do it all and to get it all, because sometimes you only get one shot. What are some of my favorite movies and what are some of my least favorite movies, or they're so bad they're good? A favorite movie is maybe Dazed and Confused. It's a little wild, but I think it's an interesting portrait of adolescent life and young adulthood, and also a really interesting way of constructing a narrative with so many different characters. It really feels like a day in a life of a high schooler. And it's one of those films that you can kind of just pop in and anytime you want to, and you really feel like you're there. You really feel like you're part of it, like almost as if you're reliving some of your past experiences as a teenager. That's why I've really over the years come to enjoy Dazed and Confused more than any other movie. I can always just pop it in and relax and have that bit of escapism. I really enjoy it. In terms of movies that are so bad they're good, you got to mention Troll 2. I've loved Troll 2 for a long time, and even have interviewed and talked to a couple of folks from the cast. Darren Ewing, the guy that gets stabbed with the spear and delivers the scream, you know. We interviewed him for one time for an internet humor site I was working with, and interesting story with that too. The dad from the film, he's a dentist in my home state of Alabama now, and was for a time he was a male cheerleader at the University of Auburn, War Eagle. So I thought that was pretty cool. Our film has not been a part of many festivals yet. We're really just starting our festival run. We are having our premiere at Doc Miami in September, so by the time you're watching this, the film has probably already premiered at Doc Miami. And Heartland should be our second screening of the film. We're very excited about the reactions that we are going to get from you. We want to know what you like about the film, what you disliked, because criticism is always great. I welcome it. And what about it resonated with you and moved you? And I'm really interested in getting those interactions from people and just hearing good things about it, because I really hope it does have an impact on you and uplifts you in some way or another. We've spent a long time on this movie, particularly in the editing room, spent years. And so I'm very, very excited about finally getting to get it out into the world and in front of some audiences and start letting it see if it can have a major impact on people. And I hope it does, and I believe that God's going to use it in some way or another to bring about some good. I guess what I like being asked the most, or what I would most appreciate being asked, is what's the main point of the film? What's the main theme of the film? What do you want me as an audience member to take away? And let me rephrase that again, because I might have mumbled at first. The question that I would probably most like to be asked is for me to verify what my intention for the film was in terms of theme. What am I supposed to take away from it as an audience member? And so I'm perfectly happy with answering those questions, and in fact I welcome them, because there's multiple perspectives presented in the film, and even though I directed and edited the film, and I'm somewhat of a side character in the film now, it is interesting, all the different perspectives, and I do hope people come away from the film with the message that I tried to push through there, what I saw take place, and I tried to emphasize that. And that's really a message about causation and destiny and a purpose in all things, perhaps. So that's really what I'm trying to hone in on in my film, and that was the story that I saw beyond all this. Was this idea that all this was happening because of one single name. And a lot of it just seemed to be too random to be a coincidence. And so that's what I really tried to hone in on the film and emphasize. So I welcome those kinds of questions that regard theme and views towards life, and what does it all mean, and how does this film speak to those issues. So I welcome those kinds of questions. Thank you for your time. I look forward to seeing you at the Heartland Film Festival. Please check out I'm with Phil. Thank you.